guys, my name is Chrissy and welcome to my channel, Chrissy's Walk in Beauty. Today we are going to discuss some hard-hitting issues that are just really on my heart. I'm definitely using this as a vent session, so a rant event. You guys, whatever you want to call it, that's what this is about to be. We are going to do my makeup pretty much from scratch. The only thing that I've done is prime my face and did my brows. But everything else you'll get to see me do. You'll get to see how I do it and all that good stuff. So you guys, if you're interested in hearing this rant and seeing how I got this look, please stay tuned. All right, you guys, so I'm just gonna talk. I am in a mood right now. I just had this conversation. So long story short, I'm gonna be doing my makeup. I'm not really gonna be talking too much about my makeup. If you have any questions about my makeup, please leave them in the comments below. I will be more than happy to answer those questions. So I'm just gonna get right to the makeup and talk to you guys about this situation. So, and I understand that by the time this video comes out, like today is June 3rd, like keep in context of when this is versus when you're gonna receive this video. Like this video might not come out until July 4th, like so. And because of the fact that I do hair and different makeup products for specific months is the only reason why I'm not gonna speed this up and just put it out sooner. On top of the fact that I have a video coming out for every day of June. So there's nowhere to put the video, okay? So for those of you who don't know, that's how and why and the logistics of how I do what I'm doing. So if you haven't figured out, I've already primed my face, just so you know. I don't want nobody looking at me like I'm crazy. Okay, so it's June 3rd. We are in like day 4 or so, maybe a few more days than that of the protesting, the rioting. We're in day 3 of support and solidarity and supporting Black people. If you are not Black, in being heard, having their voices heard, because that's what all of these Black screens were for. That's what all of these messages were for. It wasn't to do a blackout. We've done blackouts before. That's fine. But it was to bring awareness, because there's a lot of people, non-Black, in every other shade other than Black, who don't understand why all this is going on, why this is so deep, why why has it gone this far. And I had a conversation with my daughter's grandmother that really put context and infuriated me to a whole nother level, you guys. So for those who don't know, my daughter is half white. Her father is white. His family, his mother's side of his family is from Germany. Lovely person. Like, you know how you just have people who are just nice people, nice enough. And that's what that is. But she was one of these people that we like to call a Karen, who pretty much says, I'm not really understanding why this whole thing is about Black lives. All lives matter. All lives are important. All lives. Okay. So, and I know we as Black people keep saying, no one is saying that other lives don't matter. No one is saying that white lives don't matter. No one is saying that Asian lives don't matter. No one is saying that Hispanic lives don't matter, which they're going through a mirrored effect of what the Black people are going through. They meet a lot of the same struggles. And as a person who is from California, Southern California specifically, like we ride. Black people and Mexican people in Southern California ride. We go in for each other because what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. Now, on a regular type of situation, sometimes there's a divide because of the language barrier, and they're gonna stick together with their own culture, as they should. And truthfully, Black people need to take a note from other cultures who do that. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about that. But for the most part, like, when something's going down, it's going down with us. Like, we're fighting together. Now, that's not to say that that's how every pocket of the United States works. There are a lot of pockets where there's a lot of Spanish and Black people in the same place, and they don't get along. They don't have unity amongst each other. But my experience, my life experience growing up, born and raised, all of my favorite food is Mexican, okay? My first babysitter did not speak English, and we got along just fine. You know, like, that's the culture I grew up around. And being Trinidadian, you know, we're in the port of Spain. That's half the culture on the island is Black, Asian, and Hispanic. So, like, you know, that's our get down. So, amen. And that's something that I noticed too. Spanish people don't have no problem jumping on to Black Lives Matter because they understand. They understand what it is. They've seen it. They've had their issues, and it's real. It's a real fight out here. But long story short, let me get back to the topic at hand, because I just went all off, y'all. But I mean, I got makeup, so, you know, I got some time. So whatever the case may be, we get into a conversation where she pretty much is like, all lives matter. I'm not really, or no, I seen a post that she posted that was like, you know, people need to stop making excuses and stop making excuses for as racism being the reason why you know, things are happening. Like, stop trying to play the race card and pretty much like man up and do what you gotta do. And being a person, growing up, a Black person growing up in America, you know, I will say this: growing up in California is very different than growing up in the South. It's very different than growing up on the East Coast or the Midwest or anywhere else, really, I would say, in the world. Growing up in California, let alone Southern California, is just a different beat. It is a different beat. And when I say it's a different beat, I mean, people are mad polite. That's what I'll say. People are mad polite. People are very, you know, every white person has at least one Black friend, okay? And that one Black friend is that clear to they're not racist, okay? And I'm speaking from a person who grew up where her and her siblings, me and my siblings, were the only Black people in class growing up until like 4th, 5th grade. Only Black people in the neighborhood, period. That's not even a thing, because I went to school out of district, and that's how I got exposed to other Black kids. But I grew up in an all-white neighborhood in the desert of all places. Like, there were no other Black kids. That's all I knew. That's how I grew up. And, you know, we were, I would say, looking back now, we were the token Black kids. You know, we weren't bad kids, so, you know, we didn't have any problems or any issues with our surroundings or our neighborhood or anything like that. So there was a lot of things that we didn't get exposed to, being the only Black kids in the neighborhood, and we weren't troublemakers, okay? And like, that's not to say that all Black kids are troublemakers. I'm not trying to put that out there like whatsoever, because they're not. But when you only have like one family of kids that are around, then the depiction is whatever that family gives to those people. Does that make sense? So whatever the case may be, we grew up in that environment. That's the environment I grew up in. So I was not exposed to racism the way most people have been exposed to racism. It was very quiet. It was very subtle. It was, you know, like, you have the kids in the neighborhood that you just don't play with. You don't know why you don't play with them, but they play with other kids, but you just don't know why they don't play with you. And it's not because you and the kids have beef, because at one point in time y'all were friends, but it's because of parents and their decisions. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. So imagine growing up in an environment where that's like everything is subtle. And that's what I say, like, and I try to explain this to people because I've had the pleasure and opportunity to live in very, very different aspects of the United States. I've lived in the South, which that's where I am this very second, recording this video. Hopefully by the time you see the video, that is not where I will be. But and I've lived in on the East Coast, very different environment from California or the South. South, very different environment from California or the East Coast, and California being very different, just period. The racial issues are handled differently. The way people do things are very different, and it's very different in the different regions. So I'm explaining all of this to you guys so you can kind of grasp my background and where I'm coming from and my thoughts, views, and opinions about certain things. So long story short, like, most Black Californians can tell you that it's not common that you get confronted outright with a racist person. And when I say confronted outright, I mean, you know, they walk up to you, call you the N-word or some other racial term or slang, and, you know, they throw stuff at you, whatever the case may be. Whatever the narrative is for racism, that's not how it happens in California. It's not. And a lot of people think that because that is not how it's depicted, that means that there isn't any racism, and that's not true. In California, racism is very subtle. It is something where people will smile, they'll be very polite, and they will buy you lunch, they will buy you dinner, they will be very you know, like, oh, you know, that's a great idea, all these great things that you think, okay, this is a pretty cool person. And then you get the truth when you're doing something that they don't approve of you doing. Not because, ooh, y'all, okay. They don't approve of it, not because it's illegal, not because, you know, it's wrong morally. They don't approve of it because you're not supposed to be able to do that particular thing. And I have an example. I used to work, very short-lived work, for this major university in Southern California. It's not one of the Cal states, okay? It was a private school. And in that time that I worked there, first off, I came to find out my very first day of work that I was hired because I was a Black woman. I met the diversity markers. And not only was I hired because I was a Black woman, I was hired with the thought process of being groomed. A lot of people, and I'm not even going to pretend, you guys, a lot of people, including myself at the time, did not see that as an issue or a big issue. You know, for me, as a person who didn't grow up in a outright racist area or place, I didn't really necessarily see it as being racist. I seen it as, well, finally something is working for me that just comes natural, and, you know, what have you. I didn't see it as that. But the crazy thing about how this worked out was that the department that I worked for had what I would like to call a rah-rah cheerleader for women's rights, and they spoke a lot about colorism and all of these things. So all the while I'm being groomed and not groomed to achieve my own goals. Because for those who don't know, when you get hired on at a university, one of the major perks of taking that kind of job, especially if you're not like getting tenured professor type employment, like their pay is decent, but it's not like the best ever was. But how they balance that out is by them giving you free tuition, so you can go to school and get your college education for free, and your children can as well. So I looked at this as I overlooked quite a few things for the bigger picture, the bigger goal, which was I could finish my degree. If I stayed here long enough, my kids could go to school for free. I could move up. Like, there were a lot of things that seemed very logical in my mind to do that, I mean, I'm just gonna tell you, it didn't work out that way. And I'll explain why, even though this was not a part of the story time, but you know, like, I can't find my eyeshadow primer. Okay, I'm just gonna use a different one. So, long story short, I did not turn out to be the best experiment to have, okay? I turned out to be a person who's very competent, who picked up the job very fast, so fast that I ended up training other people how to do the job that I just learned how to do. So much so that I was completing tasks that were above my pay grade, that I was low-key saving my superiors' butt with deadlines, because I was on top of my ish. That made the situation a problem, because I look at it like we're a team. We're a team. So if you're slacking, then I'm gonna pick up your slack, and vice versa if that ever came to be a situation. Okay. I'm gonna go into one, you guys, in the Fenty Snap palettes. So, long story short, there was, what am I talking about? How am I gonna explain this? Long story short, you guys, because I did not turn out to be a malleable project, but I had my own points of view, I had my own goals, I had my own dreams, I had my own degree path. That was a situation. Like, people didn't approve of the degree path I wanted for myself, that I would be going to do with the free tuition that I was getting or gonna get. And that was a problem for them. That was a problem. And so, long story short, you know, it became a very big issue that later on turned into me not working for that university anymore, because I didn't fit into the mold that they had envisioned. Not that I wasn't doing a good job. Not that I didn't have everything under control and taken care of, and, you know, deadlines met and everything else, which was crazy because I was told that I was not expected to meet deadlines because of the type of position it was, and you know, everything would be, long story short, just figuring it out. And that was, I mean, it was just crazy. Long story short, I was exceeding all expectations, but that particular person who realized that I could not be their project had a problem, and that was a problem. And that is a form of racism, but that's how racism is done in California. It's not very overt. It's not somebody calling you bad names or things like that. That's not the normal. I mean, that's like what we think of as the normal way that it is depicted, but no. Like, it's very subtle. It's in ways where it's like, you can only advance this far. You can only achieve this much. And if you think that you're gonna try to exceed what the boundaries that were set, then we're gonna shut you down. And that was the problem. Okay, so long story short, that was to kind of set up the fire and the flames that are in my chest right now. So I see this post from my daughter's grandmother, and it bothered me because, you know, all lives matter. No one is saying they don't. White people's lives matter. Asian people's lives matter. Mexican people's lives matter. Native American people's lives matter. Eastern Indian people's lives matter. Or Arabic people's lives matter. Everybody's life matters, okay? I am a Christian that believes in love and people respecting each other, especially regardless of your differences, because we're in a world right now that is all upside down, topsy-turvy, and that's a whole nother conversation. This is why I don't speak about certain things, because my views are not popular. My views are very conservative, regardless of my past, regardless of my upbringing and all of that crazy stuff. Like, I have very conservative views because I believe that the Bible is true. I believe in all of that, okay? So I'm saying that to say, for any of the people who say, but all lives matter, I'm not taking that from you, boo. Never once did any of us say that that was not the case. I spent half my day today trying to explain to this person that I agree, all lives matter. But the point is that isn't that we don't know that all lives matter. The point is that there are actions taken by people that do not represent that they understand that the black life is worth just as much as the white life. There are people who take action that against black people that they would never take against people of any other color, race, or creed. They just wouldn't, because they respect that race, culture, or creed enough to know not to take these type of actions towards them. And it just blew my mind that, you know, I'm really sitting here having to explain to somebody who has a black granddaughter, if nothing else, and would want the best for that grandchild, that I would even have to explain this to you. Why would you not understand that these are women, children, and men who will never make it home? And not because they were some crazy criminal, they just robbed a bank. Nobody's talking about the people who robbed banks or killed people or did all of that. Those people have died too. We're not even talking about them. We're talking about people who went to the grocery store and never came home. We're talking about people who went to the gas station to get gas and never came home. We're talking about people who have went and made a turn and forgot to turn on their turn signal and then resulted in them never coming home. We're talking about people who went jogging on their morning jog to be healthy and never came home. We're talking about kids who walked to their corner stores to get candy, soda, chips, doing what kids do. And I'm not talking about that boys will be boys and everybody, and you know, they're doing stereotypical things that people think are just okay to do. No, we're talking about literally just walking. We're not talking about kicking rocks. We're not talking about throwing rocks. We're not talking about throwing sticks. And these are the minor infractions that other cultures get away with, but we're not going to talk about. But we're not even talking about that. We're talking about a kid or kids that literally left to go get soda, candy, and chips and never came home. Like, how ridiculous is that? And how ridiculous is it to think that there's a whole culture of people who are afraid, there are kids who will never get the opportunity to walk to the store by themselves. Could you imagine that? I come from a generation where I used to play outside from the sun up to the sun down with little to no supervision and be like covered in mud and all of that good stuff, doing what kids could do. And my kids don't get that opportunity because the situation is way out of control. And my job is to protect them. And my protecting them means that they don't get to do what other kids get to do. They don't get to be regular little kids. And that's a problem. That is a problem. Like, I don't understand how someone could not understand that I should not be scared or training my 5-year-old how to not appear threatening. My 5-year-old son, how to not appear threatening. This little kid who literally is a chubby little happy-go-lucky, lovable little kid who anybody who has a conversation with him absolutely adores him. But I have to worry about the people who won't take the time to have a conversation with him, but will judge him for his size, for his stature. Like, I have to worry about if he will come home if I let him play outside in the front yard or up the street with his scooter. Like, that's not normal. And I don't care how you try to spin how all lives matter. That's not normal, because all lives don't have to worry about that. All lives don't have to consider if their children will not come home due to someone feeling as though they might be a threat. And it was very disheartening and frustrating to think that I'm having a conversation with somebody who is supposed to love and teach and train right alongside of me, one of my most prized possessions. And truthfully, I don't want to do it. I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't want to do it. If you can't understand or empathize or sympathize with the type of struggle that a Black person is going through, that's fine. But don't involve yourself with Black people. Don't do it. If you can't try to figure out how that struggle feels and understand that their everyday life is not your everyday life, their opportunities are not the same opportunities, because even going to the grocery store and leaving your house and jogging is an opportunity. That's a privilege. And that's a privilege that we don't have. And I mean, yeah, there's more than most that come home, but there's too many that don't. There's too many that don't come home. And that's unacceptable. That is unacceptable. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of having arguments with people about why I'm concerned for my children's welfare. I have 3 sons that will definitely be 6 foot or taller. That's just going to be their stature. That's just what that is. But all of them are God-fearing children who want to be happy, who want to, their excitement in life and the things that they look forward to doing is owning their own businesses and driving cars. And to be a parent and have to consider the fact that in this world, they may not get that opportunity to drive a car. That might not be an opportunity or a privilege that is given to them, because somebody feels like my 16-year-old son who's 6 foot is a threat. I have to think about the kind of car I'm gonna purchase my son, so that when police pull him over, they don't consider him to be a threat, or they hopefully will look upon him in a more valued way because of it. And these are realities. They are realities of what is going on. And I know that these aren't complete thoughts. Like, y'all don't even understand how frustrated and annoyed and upset that I am. I feel like if a country like Paris, who is not known for their, you know, equality or civil rights, especially amongst people of color, if they get it and they are appalled, then any person in America without black skin should be able to understand as well. Because it's not even their issue. This is our issue. This is our land. This is what we have to work on. This is everything that we have, everything that we are, everything that we will be is tied up in our country and where we live and how we live our lives. And it is not okay. It is not fair that there's a whole culture of people who have to live in fear. There's a whole culture of people who don't know whether or not they're gonna make it home from work. People shouldn't feel scared to leave their house. People shouldn't feel scared to go to the store. People should not be afraid to jog. Do you know how many people have come out talking about their jogging experiences? Like, this is just outrageous. This is out of control. People should be able to go and get their exercise on. Like, this is just, it's ridiculous, you guys. It is absolutely ridiculous. And real talk, I'm not even gonna pretend like I got the answer, because I don't have the answer. I don't know where to go from here. The only thing I have is to tell people to pray, because you might not be able to cover everybody, but you could cover yourself. You can cover the people in your family. You can cover the people that come to mind. Because real talk, if we all did that, we'd be unstoppable. There would be nothing to be said, and it would just be a different world. It would be a different world, a different experience, and unfortunately, that's not the case. Alright, you guys, I am going to put on lashes and mascara on my bottom lash line, take my hair down, and we'll finish this out, okay? Alright, you guys, so I finished my lashes. I put on some lip gloss and some lip liner. I used the LA Color High Sheen lip gloss in the color Catwalk. It's cute. It adds a pop of color to this neutral situation. If you guys did not notice, I used the Fenty Snap 1 for this look. It was very simple, 3 colors, not that complicated. Truthfully, you guys, I really don't even know what else to say. I'm just frustrated, very disheartened about how people can so easily disassociate themselves from a real problem. It just, I mean, at this point, I have no solutions other than to pray, and until it gets fixed, there's nothing you can do. So, you guys, I hope this video wasn't too like down and terrible, okay? Definitely feel free to leave your comments below what your thoughts are about this whole situation, and you know, I will hopefully see you soon. You guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell so you know when the next video is coming out. I promise it won't be this serious. It won't be this grim. I try intentionally not to really talk about too many things that are just out of control, because truthfully, my opinions are strong. I have very strong opinions, and they are not all that popular. And, you know, even this was probably just scraping the surface. So, you know, I try to keep it easy breezy, beautiful, cover girl. Okay? That's where I try to hit it. So forgive me if it was too much for you. But yes, future videos should be a little bit more happy, a little bit more peppy, just for you. I know you, the one who just comes here to get away from their life. Yes, you. Come back. We'll have fun next time, okay? You guys, please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, even though I've already said that already. Don't forget to ring the bell. I will see you guys soon. Please be safe, be blessed, and work through these issues, all right?